Welcome forward here with Consciously Creating Circumstances with George Winslow Plummer. We're entering into chapter 4, entitled The Great Link. If you had followed the discussion carefully so far, you have thoroughly in mind these ideas. A. All is one in the universal mind. B. You personally are an individualized channel for expression of that one mind. C. In your human existence, you use that mind both objectively and subjectively. D. Your subjective mind can be controlled by your objective mind, and it carries out orders automatically. And E. Ordinarily, these orders relate to the usual body regulating functions of the subjective, but it will also act on orders about other types of activity. Let us now set ourselves definitely to see that there are, in fact, other kinds of orders, which the subjective will accept from the objective and carry out. To do what we shall adjourn to the vaudeville theater. There will we see a hypnotist at work. By means of a few passes in front of a person's face, he gets him under the control. Just what do you mean by under his control? This is what we mean. He disconnects the hypnotized person's subjective mind from his objective mind, and then the hypnotist substitutes his own objective mind to control the hypnotized person's subjective mind. There is no other possible explanation, and the actual fact of hypnosis has been amply demonstrated scientifically. All right, the hypnotist has you under control, let's say. Your objective mind is asleep. You remember absolutely nothing of what is done to you under hypnosis and after you come out of it. Meanwhile, the hypnotist had you under his control, or, to put it more exactly, your bodily functions ruled by the subjective have been completely under the control of his objective mind. This is extremely important. Simply by ordering you to run around the stage and bark like a dog, he has made you do it, or he has made you to do so. Your subjective mind does not ask itself why it should cause your body to act like a dog. It automatically accepts the orders given to it and immediately carries it out to the best of its ability, either at once or as soon as it's available to do so. There is scarcely any limit to the subjective mind that can be made to do in this manner. Now, you perhaps see more clearly why we have said that the subjective mind receives orders and acts on them automatically without arguing as to their sense. Certainly, if some people or some other person, such as a hypnotist, can impress his will on your subjective mind, you yourself can do the same thing much more easily with your own objective mind. One other important point is found in our study of the hypnotist. Ordinarily, your subjective mind is only dealing with your own objective mind, but it can deal with somebody else's objective mind without knowing the difference. Otherwise, the hypnotist could not control you. Your subjective mind is therefore entirely impersonal. That is only another way of saying that your subjective mind is universal in its reactions. It does not discriminate as to persons or why, or pros and cons. How different in this respect is your objective mind? It is very keenly aware of the difference between persons. It shifts reasons. It argues pros and cons. It definitely does discriminate. Hence, your objective mind is not universal in its use by you. It is decidedly specific, rightly so, for being of use in the plane of the specific, or, in other words, the world in which you live. Now we are ready to take the big step forward. We have already found that the basic source of all power on all planes, physical, mental, or emotional, is the universal mind. Now we have discovered, or now we have just discovered, that only as aspect of your mind's activity, the subjective is likewise universal in its reaction. Is subjective is likewise universal in its reactions. Hence, we see that your individualized subjective mind is your immediate personal link with the universal mind. It is your great link with all else that is. And since all things are possible to the universal mind, the power of an individual expression of that universal mind, such as your own subjective mind, is limited only by the arbitrary condition of the time, space, force, and other natural laws under which you as a human being are limited. But it has no further limitations. In other words, your subjective mind could not cause you to rise up from your chair where you are sitting and float about the room. It could not cause you to expand instantaneously to a weight of 20 feet or a height of 20 millibars. It could not enable you to scratch your right elbow with your right hand. All those things are physically impossible, made so in our arbitrary world of time and space. But your subjective mind, having access to the vast power of the universal subjective mind, can accomplish anything which is not prohibited by the law of time and space. To be specific, it can make your body strong as well. It can attract you to the kind of life mate you want. It can make you a capable citizen of your community with the proper compensation to you for services. It can, in short, make you successful and happy. How it does so come next. But don't go on to that until you are sure you understand the trend of our thoughts so far. Do you see, truly, that you are an expression of universal mind? Do you realize that this is made manifest in you through your subjective mind? Do you see why this subjective mind can accomplish anything for you that is not contrary to the laws of our world? And, finally, do you recall that your subjective mind is under the control of your objective mind, ready to obey it down to the last detail? If you have come so far without lagging behind, you are now ready to take the most important step of all. In fact, you probably anticipated me and done it already. Thus concludes Chapter 4, next chapter entitled Forming the Picture.